begin.
Parents, do you feel that you need to protect your child from every bad thing that you see in the world, like especially in books?
As a parent, I feel like that we should protect our children from some things, but not everything, because eventually at one point they are going to know about it.
I also agree with her because eventually they're going to learn something, but we can restrict our child, but that doesn't mean letting like other parents maybe not their child, like not one opinion means for the world.
Maybe because that other people can think that they can ban the book for everybody, but they really can't, and that's not their decision to ban other people's kids. It's other people's opinions on whether they need to ban the book and whether their kids should read it.
Well, I'm not speaking for just me, I'm speaking for all students. If, like, for example, my parents think I can't read a book, well, they should not, like, make other people times ban it from everybody else.
As an author, I think everyone should have a way that they can read it. It's their opinion. Like basically every book gives like a message or a lesson to learn. That you shouldn't be banning the books because it's just barely inappropriate or has a few cuss words.
I agree with Mason because most of the books that we pick are appropriate, other than like one word or so. And with that, with those that we do have life lessons that will teach you a lot. So, and I just need to read the books, even if your parent says it's like one word, but your parents still have to. Your parents tell you what you can read and what not to read, but still the books have really good life lessons.
Yeah, I agree with you because, well, I mean, not all books have life lessons, but as a teacher, we try to choose books that can help the students in future worlds, in future days. So if a book has a cuss word, it's not the end of the world because they're going to hear it at some point in their life. So you might as well just save them the trouble of being all shocked because everyone's reading a book and it all has the same pages, but it doesn't mean you should ban a book because it has one word that can also teach a life lesson.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like, as a parent, I feel like I could, like, tell my kids what not to read, but I feel like I shouldn't be able to ban it because if another parent wants their student to read it, then I feel like they should, like, their student should be able to read.
As an author, I think that when one student needs to read a book from the teacher, I think that if it's at least it has some inappropriate content, but if it's not that bad, you should be able to read it because it's not gonna. Because at some point they are going to realize that what they heard in the book they will hear in real life.
I agree with Antonio because us as students, even though it might have one or two frustrated or some inappropriate content, we still can read that. Just because there will be stuff in our life that we'll be experiencing.
Well, I have a question for the author. I know you guys are all excited of getting banned of books because make people wonder about the book, but some students want to read the book, but they can't. That includes me.
But I think everyone should have their opinion on if they think it's just like too inappropriate for them, then they should just put the book down and read something else I would put probably a book in the age group that I think would be a life learning lesson for them. So if it has like one or two bad words, it's just to express the feelings, and it gives them a chance. It'll teach them about more like the world and how the way people write.
Well, because I have like the power to choose books for my students, I think that, well, I would choose a comic book to teach, because it doesn't matter if a book's in comic book form or in literature, because even comic books have literature in them, because, well, there's this comic book, Batman versus Superman, where it shows when good fights good in a world that's so run down that no one can choose which side they're on. And those have the same kind of lessons as they have in like How to Kill a Mockingbird, because just because what form a book is in or lessons, it doesn't really matter, especially if you think that something would be good to read, but other people wouldn't think that that'd be okay. That's kind of unfair, because they could take away your opinion.
Actually, because as you said, not all books are inappropriate, but some do have life lessons which could teach our children without you.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like we should be able to let students, or let our students read what we feel like is appropriate for them. And everybody, every parent should have their own opinion.
I agree with parents because us as students, we need to read what life lessons are, and some content that may be bad can still teach us some lessons for when we grow up.
I agree with Michael, because we all do learn about things that are in books.
As a teacher, how do you express what book to pick for your students to read?
I feel that when you pick a book that would have something really important that would teach you different lessons, and it'll just teach you about the past and what's happened.
Well, I've read books because as a teacher I explore what's out there in books and different kinds. And, well, I've read books that have many cuss words in them, but show about goodness and kindness and what making wrong decisions can do to your life, because when you make a wrong decision, it really affects how people look at you and how you look at the world. And so if people are banning books because of what they see or how they look at the book, then that could be taking away someone else's viewpoint and how they see the world, and that might be a really good way of how they see the world.
Teachers, I have a question. How do you feel if you had time to assign books to your students? Would it be a good idea to read the book ahead, and then if it doesn't have too much inappropriate content, would you lend it to your students?
I feel that if I would read every book that my students would read beforehand, before I like pass it out to them, because they might have more inappropriate content, so I would not assign it to them. But if they have like a little bit of inappropriate, and then they have little bit of lessons of life and stuff, I would definitely pass it.
As a parent, how would you react to if your student is reading a book that your teacher assigned that has some inappropriate content?
Well, it depends. If there isn't that much inappropriate context and the whole class is reading it, then I would probably let
When your parents complain about a book that we assign, do you agree with them all the time?
Depending on the book and depending what theme it is, because people have different opinions.
I agree with you because people do have their own opinions and on what type of book it is, and what the content is about, and what the book is about. Just matters on who is reading it, maybe. But parents do have a little bit of a say in what their kids should read.
What do you think, Isaac?
I think that if you you should give you should have your own opinion about whether to read the book or not. To let so you just choose whether do you think the book is inappropriate for you or your age group, or do you think you should stop and not and read a different book?